So typically I'll do this on the back because I find it easier to, basically what we need to do is we need to be able to retract the scapula and then bring the humerus towards horizontal adduction where we're getting length here, and then I'm going to load through horizontal abduction so they're getting load at length. Yeah. So you can use a band for this, you can use a towel, just using as an overcoming isometric, a belt. But typically we'll have to use, you can use both hands, you can have it tied to something as well where you're retracting, you're just pulling, like tied to a rack or something. But the key thing here is you are retracting, letting the chest come through, and then you can focus on one side. So let's say we're focusing on the left side here. This is the side that has more limitation. Just fix the band with the right side and then pull across with the left side. And then we're just holding that there at low tension, but you'll typically feel that kind of challenge on the outside there. Feel a lot of shaking there, right? Now, it's much easier then if I have him just protract and then pull across. Much easier, right? Yeah. Because now you're getting help from your scapular retractors, rhomboids, mid-trap. But when I retract the scapula, I put the rhomboids mid-trap into a shortened position so they can actually contribute to that force production. Because remember, the rhomboids mid-trap, they don't insert onto the humerus. So I'm trying to keep this more of as a humeral dominant strategy where I'm trying to keep the scapula retracted. But if I keep the scapula retracted, then the segment that is dominating that generation of force is the humerus, which means the muscles that attach into the humerus at length are going to experience most of that load, or at least be challenged more. And then I'll typically, I'll start at 90 degrees, sometimes I have to start below, but then I'll typically keep that there and I'll come up just above 90 degrees, keep it retracted and then pull apart again. A little bit tougher. Yeah. Because now when you flex, they have to lengthen more, right? See the left hand? Yeah. Much tougher, right? Good, and relax. So when you see a lot of that jerky motion is more reflective of muscles that are struggling to express smooth force generation. That reflects to me that they're just unfamiliar with that. And so the nervous system isn't used to coordinating force through those tissues. So that jerkiness reflects that those muscles just haven't experienced that in a long time. So that's something that I probably want to explore a lot more in your case. But I find that a very, very powerful exercise drill in clients that struggle with more posterior shoulder issues, but they're kind of more limited towards the end range. They've got full scapular range of motion, they've got good lat range of motion, they've got good spine range of motion, but it's just that last little bit, that kind of pinch at the top of the range of shoulder flexion. I find kind of more rotator cuff, infraspinatus, teres minor are kind of struggling to handle that load and tolerate that load. Or clients, I see a lot of clients, throwing clients, when they throw, they feel that kind of pain in the posterior shoulder. Again, your posterior cuff has to be able to decelerate that humeral head forward translation. So that's how you get load into those tissues, and then you can gradually increase that load over time then. Because if the posterior cuff, as you're throwing, if the posterior cuff can't decelerate that forward translation of the humerus, what's going to have to decelerate it? The biceps tendon. The biceps tendon is going to get a lot of eccentric load placed through it because it has to try and prevent that humeral head from popping forward. So I'll see a lot of people with like that anterior shoulder discomfort. And sometimes you do have to load the proximal biceps. You do have to get load here. But if they're also like this, then it's telling me that these tissues in the back are struggling to lengthen. So remember that freezing strategy. Everything is kind of just getting pulled forward because these tissues can't actually lengthen. So people think, oh, these are tight in the front, so I need to stretch the pecs. But it's actually the fact that the scapula is moving forward with the humerus that reflects that these posterior tissues are struggling to actually get length through them.